Roman is the biggest bad guy character in professional wrestling.
When's the last time you got laid?
French toast is the exchange student that you have like a 3-week affair with.
Like, we can see that you don't have pants on.
Can we tell the truth about Dusty sooner or later?
Bro, less people wanted that than are currently watching our stream.
And you know Vince, and you still think, are these true? It's like...
Welcome to the Mark It Down podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Mark It Down podcast. My name is Nick Cummings, joined this week by Matt Castagnoli and James Ashanti, back here once again to review another edition of the Mark It Down podcast. I want to apologize for myself in advance. I'm still playing a little hurt, but I promised I would be back this week, so I am back. So I apologize for when I have to mute myself every 5 minutes to cough my lungs out.
I am with you. Between the two of us, I think we have one good lung, but we can make this work.
As somebody who failed a tuberculosis test, let's hope that's true.
I'm good. I'm all good.
Yeah, Matt's fine.
When did you fail a tuberculosis test? Is it 1865?
Yeah, I technically tested positive for one. I'm fine. I took the medicine. I did not have tuberculosis, but I did technically fail like the bubble test on your arm.
Yeah.
That was a good time. I take pills that are like this big for a
How old
year.
were you?
8.
God.
Random.
No,
So
no. I was younger than that. Maybe I was like 6.
So you were around the same size you are now, though.
Give or take a few inches.
I'm just glad none of us got COVID at WrestleMania or the Mets game. I mean, like, I got COVID at AEW. What was the one? World's End? But I didn't get COVID at WrestleMania. So who knows?
You didn't go
Open
on
arena, open stadium. All the
I
COVID
suppose.
went up in the air.
I suppose.
You'd be surprised how much the open air does help. But we digress. Let's move on to our opening segment of the evening, which saw the new reigning IWGP World Heavyweight Champion Jon Moxley return to AEW triumphantly as the new IWGP champion. Finally, for the first time. First of all, looks great with the new shaved head. Fits him real well with that title.
Strongly
Matt
disagree.
doesn't like it.
No.
Matt doesn't like it.
You hate bald people.
No, I don't. My dad's bald, and I love him.
You have a thing against bald people. You are a hair supremacist. You're wrong.
I mean, have you seen mine? Mine's like gonna be gone before you know it. So I'm not
like George Costanza before you. You see it like Larry David before you. You see it on others, and it brings out the hatred in you.
You know what it reminds me of? It's like when Will Ferrell desperately wanted to shave Conan O'Brien's beard. And then he did. He did, and he finally did it. And when he did, he immediately regretted it. And that's what I'm feeling now for Jon Moxley. Maybe I'll get used to it, but as of right now, I don't like it.
You guys are not going to really get this, but Kobe was losing his hair for a long while. And he eventually just went back to, because he had, it was in the front. He went back to just the 0 and had the beard. Maybe not as long as Moxley's. And it looked good. And that's where Moxley is at the top.
Oh, no, let me tell you. I do understand.
I
do understand.
I meant in terms of Kobe.
Fair. Like, to quote a great WWE champion, whoa, it's all smoke and mirrors. I know what I'm doing up here.
What a pull. But yeah, I thought you were gonna go Kurt Angle there, but I think Mox looks good.
I don't like the 0. I think if he's just gonna do either shave it entirely or let it go crazy. But we should keep going. I cut you off. Keep going.
This is important. No, we're talking about things that matter. We are talking we live in a world where former presidents are on trial. We live in a world where every day we're on the brink of World War III. But no, what really matters is Jon Moxley's hairstyle. So no, don't ever be ashamed of that, Matt. We're talking about the things that are getting us through the day.
James, I feel like you and I right now were the two guys in Weenie Hut Juniors. It's a shaved head. It's a hairdo. It's shaved.
All I know is I feel so bad for Rev, who's barely holding on vocally, and we just keep derailing him. And Rev, I do apologize, but I also need you to know I'm not going to stop. It's probably going to
checkmate. Checkmate.
Not only do I not expect you to, you gave me more time to clear my throat back up.
See, I got you, baby.
Matt, I'm sorry. I'm with James here. I think he looks good, but we digress. Mox pretty much just cuts a prove the doubters wrong promo, which I thought was pretty cool. The whole what's in here thing, which he always does, and then tops it off with saying that's what AEW is all about, which probably should have been the Adam Copeland promo, but he didn't have the title yet, nor was he back. So
we talked about how when Copeland cut that promo, there was probably a better person to cut the promo. And we all kind of circled on Mox, but the problem is Mox had already cut this promo like a year and a half ago because of Punk. But you know what? I'm wrong. He cut it again, and I still loved it.
But it wasn't necessarily the same promo because it was more about him. He just related it back to that's what AEW is all about. So
yeah. Well, that's the new slogan. That's what I think we're going with now. I think we're moving away from AEW, we're the best wrestle, to this. And
I wasn't a fan of we're the best wrestle. It sounds like an incomplete sentence to me. Like the first time I heard it, I'm like, we're the best wrestle bears. Like we're the best wrestle in other countries. I don't know. Like I didn't know where it was going. I didn't like it, but I loved Mox here. It was, the quote was, I wrote it down. He said something, and then he said, being great is about what's in here, pointing to his stomach. There's no alcohol in that stomach. The man is sober, and he's pointing straight and narrow, and he's kicking ass and taking names and winning championships. So good for him.
A lot of respect to Mox for being sober. I was at the game today.
he's sober enough for you. You know, he's sober enough for the two of you.
Also, I mean, not that we give free ads here, but I think he really enjoys that Athletic Brewing Company, which is like the non-alcoholic one. Apparently very good for those of you who would like a beer, but don't want to, actually have alcohol.
Do you enjoy the taste of beer?
Actually, yeah, I do.
Most of the time, or just like specific beer?
Some beers are better, obviously. Your Stellas, your Montauk Summer Ales, your Sam Porch Rockers are really good. Just since we're going into the summer now, I'll throw some of the summer beers out. But when I'm just like at the bar having beers with the guys, I'll usually drink, the bottom of the barrel, not the bottom of the barrel, but your Bud Lights, your
to get you through the casual beer,
something I can low alcohol, something I can coast on, make it through the night, stay level type of stuff,
and not burn through your wallet.
Zagaki. All right. Hello, you know it well. You guys started
on time.
Yeah, no, dude, we were late. You haven't missed much. I haven't even gotten done breaking down the promo yet because we already spent 5 minutes talking about Moxley's hair. And
I'm not sorry about it. You know it.
Didn't say it. Anyway, after Mox finished his very impassioned speech, he then turned his attention to that carny piece of shit, Don Callis, calling him creepy as hell and saying that a bunch of very talented guys have bought into his bullshit and fallen under his sway. But now they've put out a hit on his teammate Bryan Danielson, and he has taken that personally, saying he will be around all night if they've got a problem with it. He could take a tire iron to one of them, or he could run over them with a car.
I did it for The Rock.
But that won't teach them anything. So instead, Moxley decides to challenge the biggest, baddest member of the family in Will Hobbs, with whom he has history, to a match.
I love that they acknowledged it. I love
Taz, especially. Taz is like, I know all too well.
Anytime Taz gets to talk about Team Taz, he does. So it's not shocking, but it's awesome.
If you drink every time Taz brings up the Team Taz days, especially specifically that quote, you'll be more drunk than I am. But he said he challenges Hobbs to a match next week, saying he will drag Hobbs into the depths and show him the lies that Callis is feeding him. So, Matt, I knew you liked the beginning of the promo with the depths of his soul parts of Moxley, but what did you think about Moxley challenging Hobbs, bringing up their past? And because personally, I really liked the end where he was like, I will drag you into the depths and drown you and show you the lies that Callis is feeding you.
It's funny because I remember when Hobbs turned heel, I remember him joining Team Taz. I don't really remember Mox in the equation, so it didn't mean a lot to me. And then also, I got to be honest, I'm like just very burned out after WrestleMania. So like just this entire episode, it wasn't the quality of the episode, but for me, it was a chore.
It was the quality of the viewer. It was the quality of the viewer right now. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not going to say like anything was awful tonight, but like it was very hard for me to stay focused and pay attention and enjoy this. And this is the first instance of where I completely tuned out. So I am not the man to analyze this. After the stomach thing, I was gone. So James, what did you think?
Oh, I vividly remember the days of Mox's kids, where it was Mox, Darby, and Hobbs. And
which is great, right?
Right. Yeah, and look how they both have gone so far away from Mox. And that's not a bad thing. But there was a point in time where I thought Moxley was going to have an actual team with those guys. And then Hobbs went on to join Team Taz, Darby with Sting, and everything worked out as far as I'm concerned for everybody. Hobbs still quite hasn't hit that potential that I think he's capable of. But, I mean, he is a former TNT champion, and Darby is, without a doubt, one of the hottest original acts AEW has to offer. So, all in all, I think the kids are all right. But I don't know. I'm excited for the matchup. I'm excited for Mox to be. I didn't realize how long Mox was gone. He's been absent for a little while now,
right?
And I'm very grateful to have him back. And it feels important that he's back as the IWGP champion. It needs to be acknowledged. And I did cover this when I covered New Japan Windy City Riot last Friday. But the reality is Jon Moxley is the only man in professional wrestling history. And granted, there might be more as time pops up, but it's a little too early. Jon Moxley is the first man so far to be the WWE champion, AEW champion, and IWGP champion. So this is a huge, huge accolade. And thankfully, he broke the 5-day drought of there not being a Shield member to hold a world, to hold any title since 2020. All right, a 5-day drought. We were thirsty, but Jon Moxley has quenched our thirst. And I'm intrigued to see how prevalent the IWGP title is going to be on AEW TV. We are getting closer to Forbidden Door. So the reality is he'll probably hold that title until Forbidden Door, especially as New Japan will be running shows in the United States. They're going to be doing a tour in the States here and there. So, yeah.
They coming to New York?
Unfortunately, not to my knowledge. I know they're doing DC. And quite frankly, I'm kind of tempted to make that trip to DC. It's not that bad. It's like, I think, like a 4-hour drive. And
we take the train.
Yeah.
Train,
yeah. And depending on the card, I think it would be really worth it. They just did Chicago. I have a weird feeling they're going to be doing Pennsylvania, but I think I might just be making that up. But either way, very excited for this. And I'm hoping, as we know, Dynasty is a stacked card. You cannot look at that card and find a fault, except for maybe Jericho and Hook. But it is a packed card. And I think now with Moxley back in the fold, a little too late to really book a match for Dynasty, I think. Although I think you could have snuck him in. I am excited for where AEW will be next week. So great to have him back. Just looking at the comments real quick.
Yeah, I've been chopping it up in there while you guys have been speaking.
We have Jordan Kirby. Hi, Jordan. Are we seeing Swerve as AEW champ this Sunday? I am inclined to say yes.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that in a little bit as we work our way to the main event, Jordan. I hope you stick with us. But I hope so. I hope so. And I love Samoa Joe. I love Joe. He's one of my top 2 favorite Samoans named Joe. But we'll see. And then let's see. We have Chris in the comments. SRS announced the Ruby Soho was pregnant with it. What?
Do you not read the comments before you put them on?
No, I don't.
Is it storyline, maybe?
I really fucking hope so.
I mean, even storyline, brother,
Why
you
announce
gotta
she's
wrap it up.
Gotta watch Rampage. I guess that's what James keeps telling me. I gotta watch Rampage.
First of all, yes.
Yes.
Second of all, Rev. First of all, second of all, third of all, whatever of all.
I'm not wrong.
Condoms are not always 100% effective.
True, but still.
He could have. But
save it for sex ed class, gentlemen.
What's that? Chris.
Speaking of sex ed,
Julia. I'm going to skip ahead to Jordan's new comment saying, "Imagine if Jack Perry returns." And
good chance.
Yeah, I do think there's a very good chance very shortly. But Producer Boy has put up a segment allegedly from
Rampage
saying that Ruby had announced that she's pregnant. So I don't know. I didn't watch that. It might be dark tonight.
Well, no. Again, they tape Rampage after Dynamite, so that's the Rampage segment. But okay. What a twist! Unless, oh man, what if she's actually just pulling Angela's leg and she's gonna turn heel again and join Saraya? I love soap operas. This is exciting.
I mean, there is also the possibility that perhaps she is pregnant from outside of the company.
That's so boring. Real. That's too boring. No, I'd rather believe this is all a work and she's going to give birth to a hand.
Wrestling and romance, ladies and gentlemen.
Absolutely.
Just to get back on track here, it's nice to see Mox back. And it is. No, it's not only nice to see him back. Like, this is one of those things where I say this every once in a while on the show, and you guys also say it as well. Sometimes guys just have to go away for a little bit to make it realize how much we miss them. I forgot how much I missed Mox, and he's back. And not only is he back, he's the motherfucking IWGP champion, which is a title he has never had. As you said, James, he's the first one to hit, at the WWE, AEW, and IWGP titles, which is insane. So it is really, really cool to see him back. It's really, really cool to see him with this title. And I am curious to see how they play this out from now until, I assume, Forbidden Door, because it actually kind of opened up the opportunity for somebody actually losing one of the 2 main titles at that pay-per-view for the first time.
Good point.
I agree. There are a...
we're getting the official SRS tweet. So not to doubt, we didn't doubt you, Chris. We just wanted to confirm. But the official SRS tweet, according to him, she announced she was pregnant to Angelo at Rampage. Spoilers, we do apologize.
I don't know it's real anymore. I don't know it's real anymore. But I guess to go off Jordan's question, isn't Ruby in a dating storyline?
Yes.
I guess it's more than a storyline. Or they're very committed to the bit.
I was gonna say, like, aren't they together for real? Like, I remember I was waiting to try and meet wrestlers outside of what was it, Grand Slam, and they came together, and that was before any of this came on screen. Again, I don't really follow people's personal lives, but I did notice that they definitely came together via Uber. Back to Mox. I'd love to have him have his own title, like a custom one. I think that'd be awesome, like a barbed wire looking title. I know you're not into that. That's just my thing. And is he the first guy to hold, the first American, white guy to hold it since Angle?
No. All right, American. Possibly. I mean, depends on. I mean, North America, it would be Kenny. But this is also
USA.
Yeah. In terms of Gaijins, we've had Jay White, we've had Will Ospreay, we've had Kenny Omega. But it's also important to note that the belt Kurt held is not also the same belt that is being held by Moxley.
Same lineage, though, right?
No. The lineage restarted.
Lineage?
So when Kota Ibushi won both the Intercontinental title and the IWGP title, he carried both for a while, and then they formed into the IWGP
World Heavyweight Championship.
Sorry,
I pulled up
new lineage.
All right, yeah. So no, I pulled up the Wikipedia, not to over producer boy, Mox is the first American to hold the title, and I believe yes. The only other two non-Japanese people, unless I'm bugging, are Will Ospreay and Jay White.
Yeah, Kenny never held this belt.
Nope.
Kurt never held this belt, and we don't count Brock really for either belt. It doesn't really like it counts, but it doesn't count. It was a weird time.
It's a weird thing with this where it technically morphed into one new title, even though the lineage just kind of go back to it. But
the equivalency is what we now have in WWE with what the belt Cody is holding.
That's what I was thinking.
The WWE and the Universal, but technically this is a new championship that kind of has its own lineage now. It's complicated unnecessarily, but huge deal that Moxley is the champion of New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Yeah,
definitely
the big deal.
And just on a personal note for Moxley, shout out to him. Like you could tell how much he wanted this title in his promo tonight. I'm really excited.
5 years, 5 years it took him.
5 years. I mean, since he left WWE, he's been trying to get this title.
Yep.
So,
and I think it's important to note 3 companies felt they could trust Moxley to be their top guy or to hold their top prize. This is not to disparage literally anybody else, but a lot of praise will always be heaped upon Roman and Seth because they were WWE guys for a very, very long time. Seth is a WWE guy through and through, and Roman will never be anyone but a WWE guy. So I know there are certain people who look differently towards Moxley. I don't know how you could see that 3 companies wanted him to be their top guy so badly and not have him in that top guy conversation. So congratulations. And again, going back to the other 2 Shield guys, these 3 men have dominated wrestling conversations for the last 2 weeks. So 10 years plus after the Shield formed, we are still looking at these men as if the top guys of their sport. So congratulations to all 3 of them.
I was going to say that you said 2 weeks. I was going to say 10 years, but especially in these last 2 weeks. And to your point, James, not only did one of these promotions trust Moxley to hold their title, they trust him to hold their title while being in another promotion on another continent.
No, it's true.
So
very well put.
That being said, I know he had a typo here. He corrected it, but yeah, it's true. But he's never held the Glow title, so he does have a point
yet.
Yet.
Give it time.
I miss Netflix Glow, man. I miss it so much. Or
give it to Renee. All right. We spent a lot of time on this. Welcome back, Jon Moxley. It's good to see you. But let us move on. We then went to a Mercedes Moné backstage promo. Obviously, she's super pissed off when she got attacked last week during her interview with Alex Marvez. The lights went out, came back on. Somebody had attacked her ankle. Because the lights went out, she kind of, I don't want to say assumed, but she insinuated it may have been Julia Hart. So she called Julia out saying, no one messes with Moné. But she also said she was looking forward to her match with Brody King against Willow and Adam Copeland. Rick, in the comments real quick here, saying Tony Khan needs to book Jericho better than that segment with Taz and Hook. That was pretty rough. We will get there. I don't necessarily disagree with you, but we will get there. As we jump right into the aforementioned match. Hi, Wednesday.
Wait. I have one thing I want to say about this Moné promo.
Oh, please, go ahead.
Respectfully, shut up and wrestle. I just like, how long do we have to wait for her to wrestle? Like, it's
Until
ridiculous.
Double or Nothing.
That's too long. Too long.
No,
Shut up and wrestle.
No, I won't say it as crassly as that, but I do agree she should be wrestling. And Wednesday agrees.
The dog
too.
agrees.
Yeah.
I do think she will wrestle between Dynasty and Double or Nothing. You don't think so, James?
No, I don't think so. They've made too big a deal of she's going for that title first, and I think that's what it's going to be. I think it's a mistake.
So Eric put it in the chat, and it is something going around where she still might be hurt, or at least not 100%. So that is the possibility. But if she is, Matt, they have kept it very quiet.
And that would be like, I would take back the shut up and wrestle comment if that is the case. If she is hurt, then absolutely do not wrestle until you are like medically cleared and feeling like you're up to the task. And I obviously say that shut up and wrestle figuratively, like, you know.
Yeah, not
literally. So don't come after me in the comments. But like, I would love to see her wrestle because I think she's great. And I think we've seen her talk, and there's enough talk. Let's get to the wrestling.
Honestly, and Eric brings up another good point. If she is hurt, that they wanted that Boston moment, I understand that. But we've seen her pretty much just hit her finisher, I think, once, and then she teased it a second time. Her lack of physicality does lead me to believe she might not be 100%. Like, if it was WrestleMania, maybe she could go. Eric, your volume's on in the background. Oof,
oh, that's literally that was just
her.
It
was her getting attacked. Yeah, that for the audio audience, that was Mercedes getting attacked last week. Because if I didn't say that, we would 100% get taken down from that clip.
Context is key. Context is key.
It's okay. We didn't get monetized for that video.
I wasn't going to put this comment up because it came too early, but now it kind of came into context with Rick saying Mercedes Moné, like MOAN moan, and it kind of works now. So,
I don't like it, though. I don't like it.
I don't either. So, Rick, I'm going to tell you to keep it down, but it ended up being funny. So you got to lay away with one.
Just another reason she should wrestle, and that's all I wanted to say about the Moné.
If she is healthy. Okay, all right. Let us move on to the match I mentioned, which was supposed to be Adam Copeland and Willow Nightingale versus Brody King and Julia Hart of the House of Black. However, right after Copeland made his entrance, we went backstage where we saw Willow Nightingale injured. She had apparently been jumped, and Stokely Hathaway, Chris Statlander, and the trainer were there attempting to keep her from going out. So we went back to the ring, and the lights went out, and when they came back on, Brody and Julia were behind Copeland, and they jumped him before the bell, and Brody pretty much just kicked the shit out of him for 5 minutes, so they tossed him back in the ring. Eventually, the bell was rang, and we ended it up with what was essentially a one-on-one match. It was technically, quote-unquote, handicap, but it was more of a one-on-one with outside interference, even though Julia was allowed to be on the apron and choked out Copeland and interfered where she
got
could.
5. She's got till 5.
Thank you, Brian. So eventually, later in the match, after Copeland gets hit with a big lariat, he's able to dodge a cannonball, and then Willow finally makes her way down to the ring and tags herself in to turn the tide. But instead of facing Julia just bails out. And that allows Willow to get involved with Brody. Eventually, Copeland is able to hit a spear on him, and then Willow hits a cannonball on him, even doing the bark before hitting it. And then we have Brody and Copeland fighting to the outside, but Julia was able to use the referee's distraction as she was looking at that brawl to come in and take Willow out with Brody's chain. Basically knocked her the fuck out in one punch. Julia throws her in the Heartless. The referee sees Willow unconscious and calls for the bell. After the match, Julia keeps a submission in on Willow, and this prompts Mercedes Moné to come down with a chair to go after Julia. Julia, again, just bails out because you don't want nothing, especially before her title match. And there's a bit of stare down between them before we see a bit of a moment where Mercedes, it looks like she has an opportunity to take Willow out with the chair and avenge her previous injury. However, Copeland comes back into the ring, still a little dazed, but he sees Mercedes there. Mercedes decides discretion is a better part of valor. She drops a chair, and Copeland shakes her hand. Eventually, Willow is able to get her way back up, and she goes over and embraces Copeland after their loss. So, James, this was an interesting match. I thought it was funny, kind of how the way they did it, but it was, I don't want to say funny, unique, I thought it was, because we basically did get the one-on-one match with the interference, but technically the interference was all legal. But even then, I thought, Julia comes away with the win. Willow still looks strong. Copeland, we saw him hit the big spear on Brody, which I think was big. And I did really like their interactions throughout the match, which was really cool. Again, I think another first-time matchup for Copeland, which is nice. So just a very intriguing thing for me. And I think it definitely plays into the storylines as we head towards Dynasty on Sunday.
No, for sure. This was basically done the way it was to get Copeland a loss, but protect him. And I'm okay with that. If this was
Willow too.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Willow came in to take the loss to protect Copeland. But yes,
she was very protected in the loss.
Yeah, she got beat up before, and I enjoyed this for what it was. I think there's a lot of gas if they really want to. If they're smart with how they book Copeland versus House of Black, I think there's a lot of creativity you could have with that feud. And I'm a big believer. I love basically every member of I take it back. I love every member of House of Black, but I think Brody is probably the most underappreciated member of the team because people like Buddy because of his WWE run.
That 205 Live run.
Yeah. Malachi Black is Malachi Black. And Julia Hart has grown an incredible amount. Brody's typically the one that kind of gets forgotten. And not forgotten, but he continuously surprises people with how good he is because he's always sort of the background member, in my opinion. That's how I perceive him. So I loved his run in the Continental Classic, and I enjoy him here. To pull up that question, who's worse, Julia or Maxine Dupree? Julia's incredible. I think she has developed so far so well as a star. And is she still somewhat green? Sure. But she's young. She's a young kid. So I know whatever cracks there are in the foundation are going to get patched up over time.
She is right now is a lot of character work disguising I don't want to say, like you said, pretty green in-ring worker, but her character work is so good that it is completely fine.
I also think her ring work has improved.
It is drastically improved as well, yes.
Yeah. She might not be the best woman on the roster, but she is more than capable of putting on a serviceable match. And I'm also just going to say it now. Maxine Dupree is perfect in the role she's in.
Yep.
She's not great, but she's not supposed to be.
Yeah, that's the bit. And
that is
missing
the
bit.
That. Yeah.
The short answer is that Maxine Dupree is worse. Just kidding. Love Maxine Dupree. Julia Hart, great.
I want to put him in timeout.
I was the only one who didn't get to answer. Julia Hart's great, but I prefer Skype. Well, I'm taking my time now because you talked and you talked. Now it's my turn. Now I've lost my train of thought. This match was cool. So
good stuff. I will go into the comments because you know it. Matt really likes your Cookie Monster shirt. Your stock is rising number 2. Honestly, I not only like the shirt because I love the Muppets. I've been rewatching the Muppets from the beginning recently.
He is not a Muppet, sir.
I know
Sesame Street.
He's on Sesame Street, but it's the same family. Kermit was on Sesame Street
universe.
too.
Yes, same universe. Same universe.
But Matt also matched his shirt to his pen. I think.
Yeah.
Right? I think they're both blue. They
And
look
they,
the same
say
color
you're,
to me.
and they say you're colorblind. I never believed it.
Hey, my hat matches my jersey today.
Shut up. Shut up. Let's see. Going back to Eric's comment, they should hop into intergender tag team because WWE won't bring it back. Tony has made it very clear he does not like intergender wrestling. I'm actually shocked that this match was booked last week. And granted, we only saw one true instance of it where Willow dove onto Brody. But yeah, I just don't ever expect it. He just doesn't like it.
And to be fair, James, just
to be fair,
WWE doesn't do a lot of intergender stuff either. I think the occasional time we have seen it, a la Who's Your Man with No Chin, when he fought Becky way back in the SmackDown Live days.
Yes,
like they don't allow like strikes on women. I think the last time I've seen a woman really hit in WWE was when Becky took Ended Days.
Yeah.
In that tag match, but either way, they'll do the intergender tag match. It's just the men tag out, the woman's got to come in. Doesn't matter what side.
But those are lame. I hate that.
You completely eliminate the hot tag, which is like
exactly
prime real estate in tag team wrestling. And personally, I'm not a really big fan of intergender wrestling. I think it can work. I think it's definitely a way to get women more involved in wrestling, and that's a whole nother conversation. But I think if there's any place where they could experiment with it, it is AEW. Like I could see like Nia Jax facing off against like a dude, or when Sonny Kiss was there, I could see Sonny Kiss wrestling one of the women. Like I feel like
I understand they did.
I no, they didn't. Sonny wrestled Trinity in TNA.
Okay, yes, that's what it was. I'm
as
sorry.
Somebody whose lower third is literally Nyla Rose, for you to say Nia Jax, I reiterate, I really want to put you in fucking timeout today.
Matt, I have made that mistake, so you get one.
Today is not the day. Today is not the day. Fuck Oklahoma. Fuck Oklahoma. Fuck everyone down there.
I missed that, but assuming it's about a law, and fuck them.
Sorry, and Nia Jax almost took on Dean Ambrose back in the day, so that's how I'll salvage this. So my apologies, because I knew as soon as I was saying it too, I'm like, I definitely got like mixed up in my head.
All right,
but thank you for correcting me.
It's okay. I'll always gladly point out when you're wrong. I'm kidding. But no, we're going to talk about it really quickly. I don't want to derail the show, but Nyla Rose, the Oklahoma thing. AEW got in trouble. They were given a warning that they are not allowed to have Nyla Rose perform for them when they're in Oklahoma due to the laws dealing with transgender people. So
Jesus.
They have been told that if they do it again, they will be faced with a punitive punishment. Put me high on this one, producer boy. Make it big.
Yeah, full screen him. Go ahead.
I just want to say it really quickly. He's not doing it, but that's okay. I forgive him.
Yay!
I want to make it clear. Oklahoma, the next time AEW is in your state, I want Nyla Rose to win the fucking World Women's Championship in the main event of your show. I will gladly, Tony Khan, if you're here, I will gladly contribute to whatever punitive punishment you guys are faced with, whatever financial punishment you guys might be faced with. I'm speaking for the entire Mark It Down podcast when I say, screw you guys for the law, screw you guys for what you did, and screw you guys for trying to screw with Nyla Rose. She's awesome, and I'm glad everybody came out in force for Nyla today. And if you haven't, you probably just don't know about it. And if you do know about it and you're not, you're also wrong.
Yeah, screw you, Oklahoma.
Oh, yeah.
Well said.
Sorry,
I did not know that either, so I appreciate that information.
I did not either. That. Yeah, that is a load of horse shit. I mean, I don't even want to get into it for past that. You said it better than I could, so good job, James.
Damn it, Oklahoma! You made me a baby face. Now I want to go do evil things with my evil friends.
You can't not root for Nyla just strictly because of her Twitter.
You guys have no idea how much I wish Twitter Nyla was wrestling Nyla, because her Twitter game is so good and she's so likable. But I digress.
She was great. I just want to say real quick, she was great in that first AEW New York Comic Con. Like not
panel.
You know was Pat. Thank you. I was gonna say press conference. The panel. She was great.
Yeah, she's genuinely awesome. Going back to it, Muffson in the comments. Hello, Muffson. How are you doing, buddy? Heck yeah, I'd be down for Nyla for the championship. I think she's due. Her reign came so long ago, and it is one of the forgotten reigns, I think, of AEW's title lineages. So, yeah, by all means, I'm down for another title reign. I think she'd be a good one for she already tried for it and she failed. I'd be down for her winning the mid-card title in Ring of Honor too. The one that Billy Starks just had, or Billy Stark, right?
Yes, Billy Starks. You were correct.
Yeah. Can't believe this guy's fucking with Nyla. That was good.
So yeah.
It was Oklahoma. The character Oklahoma.
Oh, I was okay. All right. Sorry.
The JR impersonator.
Yeah. The second you said that, I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I did want to put one more comment up before we moved on because we've got very distracted. But yes, go Mets, Rick. We're doing so well. Fuck the Yankees.
What the hell just happened? When the Mets were faltering, did I not show my support? Did I not say I hope you guys pull it together? You don't need, like, come on.
You're like 12-4. You're fine. We just got back over 500.
It's the respect. It's the. I'm trying. I want you to be happy. Yay Mets. But we don't gotta. It's like women supporting women. New Yorkers supporting New Yorkers.
No, that's not how this works. Sorry, that's not how it works on this side of the table. No,
I'm podcasting here.
Sorry, James. It's not how it works on this side of the table. I know plenty of Yankee fans who don't care about the Mets or root for the Mets. They're like, oh yeah, little brother, whatever. We all fucking hate you and the Yankees.
I would hate us too, considering how much better we are.
What, you think you're better than me?
My championship trophy case proves it. Did he mute
me?
No,
do I look like I'm from Ronkonkoma?
Okay.
Oh, I got to go out there a couple weeks. All right, let's move on. All right, so just so we don't go on tangents on this podcast.
Yeah, seriously.
All right, technically the Nyla roasting wasn't a true tangent, but all right. We then went backstage for a Samoa Joe sit-down interview with Renee Paquette. Renee starts by asking how Joe feels about Swerve, and Joe says that he felt like a worthy champion right up into the point where he started seeing him as a nuisance because Swerve just will never back down. He's just really annoying. He's just like, you lost. Like, why do you keep coming back? And he's just pissed off at the fact that he's still there. Renee then asked about Swerve holding the title last week, and Joe said that he was concerned that his property might stay in the wrong hands. Prince Nana was holding it. We don't really know where Prince Nana has been, according to Joe, where his hands have been in particular. So he was a little concerned about that, but he was able to get his title back. Joe then brings up Swerve's past championship opportunities, saying Swerve has always come up short, and he goes as far as to call him a choke artist. Joe finishes off by saying that he'll be the one to make Swerve choke this time when he chokes him out. He said it way more eloquently than this, like he made a good choke, double entendre, but he will make Swerve choke as he cements his legacy as the greatest AEW champion of all time. Just good stuff here from Joe. I mean, he's always good in these situations. Continues to be the best Samoan Joseph, in my opinion.
Wow.
He's my favorite Samoan Joseph. I don't know if he's the best, but he's my favorite. Yes, Matt.
Oh, I was doing the
you're throwing the one up?
Fingers up for Joe.
Wave.
No, fingers up for Joe.
Throw the ones up for the Samoan Josephs.
One for each of them.
Well, now you're just
That guy's ruining TNA for me.
Oh boy! All right. Well, you can catch that on Gym Pack Zone tomorrow. All right. We then came back for commercial, and we were gonna get a Young Bucks versus FTR video package. Spoiler alert: this is a ladder match now. Didn't know that until the video.
They announced it, I think, either earlier today or like a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I missed that. Been busy, but psych. This was not a video package. The EVPs decided that they had to cut it for time, and then we had the Bucks saying that they were going to kick their friend, the FTR's friends' asses. I just lost kind of everybody. I think you're still there, Matt. Thanks, producer boy. The Bucks said they were going to kick FTR's friends' asses, as I said, although they're friends with Pac and fucking Penta now. Before Okada said that Pac isn't making it to Dynasty. Also, the Bucks said that they would put that package on social, so I'm sure it'll be out at some point. Nice guys. All right, as the boys fix their setups.
No, I'm here. I'm here.
I'll go into the actual match, which saw the Elite face off against Pac, Penta, El Miedo, and Daniel Garcia. I'll skip to the middle here. As we came back from commercial, we saw Matthew with a microphone, which is pretty funny. He was yelling, I think, on the mic even before they got back from commercial. But as we came back, he had it, and he was just screaming at Garcia until Garcia finally decked him and was able to get in and tag in Pac. A little bit later, after Pac laid out Okada, the ref is inexplicably distracted by Garcia getting back up onto the apron. I think it was supposed to be a different spot, and they just needed the ref to look away. But it allowed Matthew to knock Pac off the top rope as he was going up for a red arrow. Garcia then was
Black
tagged
arrow
in.
now, isn't it?
Did I not call it a black arrow? What did I
You
call
said
it?
red arrow.
You're right. Old force of habit.
I got it.
Garcia then tagged himself in, and he actually looked okay against Okada for a second. He even got a jackknife cover that came really close, but obviously, eventually, it's Okada. Okada, takes over, absolutely wrecks him, hits a tombstone pile driver, and then Penta came in to try to, as Matt has moved, and I think he's back now. Penta came in to try to help Garcia, but then he also got hit with the tombstone for his troubles. Okada then set up Garcia for a super kick party, which lands, and then he hits the Rainmaker for the win. After the match, the Bucks hit an EVP trigger onto Garcia and then introduce a ladder, as we are going to have a ladder match, like I just said, and Garcia is laid out on it. Matthew then goes up to the top rope, but Pac comes in with the hammer from the ring bell, as he has used before on the Bucks, and they decide that discretion is a better part of valor, and they all bail out. So Matthew, I think you're back up.
I'm all good. Yeah, I'm on my phone, and battery was just, oh my god, it went through 45% of battery in a half hour. It was crazy. So
you'd be surprised how hard this app burns out your battery. But speaking of being burned out, I know you're burned out on the wrestling, but what did you think of this match? I thought it was a very fun match. Just, bunch of guys who have a lot of good chemistry together. Nothing overly spectacular, but fun, and it helps lead into Sunday.
Yeah, no complaints. I enjoyed it. It was kind of funny, it reminded me, man, how long has Ray Fenix been out now? And it seems like this guy can't seem to stay healthy, which is a real shame.
When Fenix gets hurt, he gets fucking hurt.
True.
Yeah. But it's still a cool combo, the three of them. It does feel odd to me, when Okada came in, he beat Kingston in a tag match and then beat Kingston for the title. And now it feels like we're doing the same thing here with Pac, but it gets even worse because Pac they're doing another 3-on-3 on Collision that they announced after this match. This time it's going to be FTR and Pac versus the New Elite. So I don't know, it just seems kind of weird to set up your challengers or the guys that Okada's facing. They just seem like they're on these just never-ending losing streaks. And I'm not saying Okada should lose. You know what I mean? I'm just saying there should be like something that makes them look more credible. Is all I'm saying. It's like Pac isn't looking great going into this title match, but we'll see what happens on Collision.
The thing though is Pac hasn't lost once. He's been on teams that have lost, but he's never taken a pin. And if you remember, I'm pretty sure one of the matches that Kingston lost to Okada, that one of the tag matches, Pac was on that team.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, Kingston got kicked in the dick.
Yeah,
for the loss. So
one of those things that, at least in like, I get what you're saying in terms of maybe a pattern forming, but realistically, this story with Pac has gone back all the way to when Kingston was still champion. And he got involved in Okada and the New Elite's business. So I don't really mind it, again, especially because Pac hasn't eaten a single pin throughout all of this. I wish he had actually racked up a win here or there, but I don't view him as, wow, this loser is getting another shot. Like, this isn't a Chad Gable situation where this guy just keeps losing, he keeps taking pins, he's the guy who's failing. No, this is just Pac has been in this battle with the New Elite, and he himself is trying to get that win.
Well, thank God it's not as bad as the Chad Gable situation. I'll tell you that much.
I mean, hey, I'm all ready for Perk Gable. Okay?
Let's go.
Give it a me.
Hopefully just on TV. Let's also not forget too, Pac is still very strongly booked. As you mentioned, James, he has not been pinned since he has been back. He probably hasn't been pinned in one-on-one in a while. And they mentioned it on TV. He's still the only guy in AEW to win 2 different championships in the entire company. So
wait, what?
No, it's.
Did I hear them wrong?
They were talking about. I think he's the first person. He's the only person.
Oh, yeah, because definitely not true. Because Mox has done it. Maybe he's the first guy to win 2 different sets of titles in the company.
I think both AEW titles. I don't think anyone else has done that.
Oh,
right?
he was champ. Oh, okay, that's what it was. Thank you, Matt. He was both the All Atlantic and the trios, right? Is that what it was? Yeah. Okay, thank you. I misheard again. Long day at the game. But yeah, he still is the only guy to do that. And so my point being, they do protect Pac very, very well. He is a very good wrestler, and he deserves to be protected as such. It's just he's never fucking there. So when he does come in, he ends up taking, I don't want to say taking a lot of losses, but I think more often than not, he ends up on teams that end up putting guys over. You know what? Have a good night. Thank you for joining us, as short as it was. But yeah, Pac is a very good challenger for Okada. I like he's coming in and just absolutely, Okada, this is wrecking everybody. And he should be taking out worthy contenders such as Eddie, presumably such as Pac on Sunday. Okada is that good where the only guys he should have trouble with are dudes like, Moxley and Bryan and Kenny and Ospreay. And that's probably about it. So I'm enjoying the way they're booking Okada. And I actually really much look forward to that match on Sunday. I know that Ospreay and Bryan is going to take all the headlines, but Pac and Okada is going to be low-key really, really fucking good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I do want to address something that we talked about in our own group chat about the handling of Okada, the handling of his exposure. Because, again, this was a conversation you were having, Matt, in the group chat, and Dragoon got involved with it too, that he's primarily booked as a special attraction, or he had been primarily booked as a special attraction in New Japan. He wasn't somebody who was wrestling singles on a weekly basis. He would do a lot of tags in between the major matchups that he did. But the reality is, now being an employee of All Elite Wrestling, a TV program that books things very differently here in North America than in Japan, we're going to see a lot more of Okada. But I do think the reality is we have already seen if I'm paying $4 million a year, you're going to be on TV every week, my boy. Yeah, no, I don't blame you. I think the reality, though, is we've seen what a special attraction dominant champion can look like on television. And I'm referring to Gunther in WWE. That was a man who wrestled fairly regularly, both in singles and in tag, or I guess trios matches on WWE TV. And he very rarely, if ever, lost. And I'm specifically mentioning those tag matches. The man was undefeated for well over a year in singles action. So I think if WWE could do it well with Gunther, I think AEW is more than capable of doing it with Okada. So I'm not too worried about it, but I do think it's something that should be addressed, because I know it's a common fear of how do you make him continue to feel special despite maybe possible overexposure. But I think they could do it.
I also think, too, like, as special as Okada is, there is a decent chunk of the American audience that does not know him. So people do want to see him because a lot of people probably haven't seen him before.
Yep.
And it behooves them to put him on television.
But
so, yeah, breaking out an SAT word there. But it is a delicate balance. You don't want him on TV too much where he doesn't feel special anymore, but you want him on TV enough. And we did just have a very long AEW championship run where the champ, for most of it, wouldn't wrestle on TV. We had a pretty long TNT title run where the champ wouldn't wrestle on TV. So I know this is a new title, and he's going to make this championship. I know, obviously, Eddie was the first, but Okada is, all due respect to Eddie, Okada is going to make this championship.
Also,
we'll see what happens from there.
Had like 2 other titles, so you know what I mean. Like it wasn't like a clear focus with Okada.
Yeah.
One title, and everything's about this one title and the rules of this title. Let me ask you guys: do you guys think
That's very fair?
Do you think Pac and FTR are going to lose on Collision, or do you think the Bucks can take a pinfall loss here?
I think the Bucks could take a pinfall loss, and I think it almost benefits them to do it. No disrespect. It kind of benefits them to get that loss out early on Collision in an instance where you could say Okada's not undefeated in AEW on a technicality if one of the Bucks takes the pin, and it's on a show that doesn't get as much viewership. So not a lot of people are going to really be able to say, I remember seeing that. So, yeah, I would have the New Elite lose. I would have one of the Bucks take the loss because, in particular, I do think the Bucks are winning on Sunday.
Same.
Yeah. And I would probably do it in a way where, like, maybe Pac pins one of the Bucks.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Keep everything separate. FTR doesn't doesn't get a win over them themselves, and then Okada doesn't get a win the other way. Just keep everybody separate, and if you're gonna have that match, that's the way I do it. That or it just never happens.
We all seem to be on the same page there. Cool.
Sorry about that. All right, let us move on next to what somebody mentioned earlier as the most awkward segment of the evening. James has already muted himself and started eating because he doesn't care, which was a Chris Jericho and Hook in-ring segment with Taz there. Matt has already gotten up and left. No one liked this, apparently. That or Matt grabbed all of his notes because I think 98% of his notes are about this. Either way, let me get into it really quickly. Jericho comes in and refers to last week's match, saying that he did not pull Hook off of the apron to mess with Shibata, but it was because he thought Hook wasn't paying enough attention to him, saying he had the game plan, and that Shibata eventually became collateral damage. Jericho claims that everyone who comes into contact with the Jericho Vortex, which for those of you who missed it, he put a copyright claim in on this past week, so that's going to be a thing now. James. It's all those people have become a better wrestler, a better person, and they have had a better career because of it. And he mentions people who he obviously disliked, including guys like MJF and Eddie Kingston. So just anybody he thinks he comes in contact with becomes better. So that's Ricky Starks. Anyway, Jericho asks Hook if he will truly come under the Jericho learning tree, which is the learning tree in professional wrestling. And Hook gives him a very solid no. Jericho tells Hook not to be an idiot, and he actually cuts off Taz, who tries to calm Jericho down. Jericho insists that Hook needs his guidance, as he's always been told what a prodigy he is by guys like Taz and other people, and needs somebody to truly teach him. But again, Taz tries to check Jericho, and eventually Jericho snaps and pushes Taz, as Taz goes down, hits the ropes, and I thought he would have taken a little bit of a better bump, but that's besides the point. Apparently, Taz has a very bad knee. This super pisses off Hook, and he grabs Jericho by the lapels of his stupid jacket and puts him right up into the corner, telling Jericho that he crossed the line. Hook says that he can prove himself to Jericho anytime, anywhere, and that Jericho needs to leave the ring. Jericho pleads with Hook to reconsider, but Hook just keeps telling him to leave the ring, to leave his ring, and eventually Jericho acquiesces and he leaves. James, do you want to take this first, or are you still eating? I went to Matt first last time.
It's not even that I'm eating. It's just who cares.
Nobody cares about this. All right, I'm going to have a very
no. All right, go ahead. Yeah, please go ahead.
Just to give you
throw the fire. Do it.
This was a little awkward, but I kind of got it. I get what they were going for. I just think it was poor. I think it was just kind of poorly done, and it was just mostly because of Jericho. Good idea, poor execution. I think everyone's just going to say this was bad. No ifs, ands, or buts. Decent idea, poor execution. That's where I'm going to stand on it.
I am inclined to agree with you, and it's shocking because no matter what you could say about Jericho, he usually puts his all into the storylines he does. He is a talented performer. It's just we don't typically like the things he does. He came across as so wooden in this promo. It felt like he didn't it felt like he wasn't even happy to be a part of it. And it was like he put more energy into the bit where Kenny Omega was high off his ass because of the diverticulitis than it felt like he put here. So I don't know what this was. The Taz bump is something we have been waiting for. If you've been a hooker for a long time, like most of us have been, we've been waiting for Taz to get involved in a Hook storyline for a long time. This was not how I imagined it. This isn't what I wanted it to be. And I not even that, oh no, how did he take a bump? It was just bad.
He kind of fell into the ropes, and I imagine his neck fine.
And I'm okay with that. But you just mentioned the neck. Why are we focusing on his knee? Like, this is a man who retired because of his neck. Why am I hearing for the first time ever, well, Taz has had some issues with his knee over the last few weeks? Like, what?
I think it was more of it's been a recent thing where and in the way he fell, he did fall on his knees. That part was bad. We do have, Eric in the chat saying that Jericho's acting was awful. And I think part of that, Matt, was because he couldn't, there wasn't really a direction in which he was going. He was clearly being an asshole, but at the same time, it almost felt like he was also trying to be genuine to Hook and genuinely wants to help him. And Jericho just couldn't convey both of those feelings at the same time. And it led to that very, as I think James put it, wooden performance.
James said it. I don't know what this is. And that's what you said, right, James? I'll tell you what it is. It's bad. That's what it is. It's bad. Just plain bad. It happens. Hopefully we can just get over it. I just saw a comment that apparently if we'll get to it later, but apparently the Jay White match, that's in the pre-show. What? Like, come on.
Yeah, so now this is on the show, right? They announced this match and it's going to be on the show. We will get to that. The Bang Bang Gang versus the Acclaimed for both the Ring of Honor and AEW 6-man / trios tag titles. But yeah, little weird that that's on the pre-show and this isn't.
I mean, maybe if this was the first match between Jericho and Hook, like maybe you set up this rivalry, this dynamic, and maybe like I think there's something they could have done with Taz. Like maybe we just see Taz backstage and he's on the ground and he's bleeding from the head. Like, you know, they use some fake blood. Like that's something you could do with Taz that could be like, hey, look what I did to your father. I'm going to break his neck because screw you, Hook. I'm Chris Jericho. Like that would have been more compelling. And it could be like, no, I want you. It's like Chris Jericho's like, no, I can't. You can't have me. It's like, no, I want you in a match. And it's like, well, fine, but I want your title. And like, boom, there you go. You're off to the races. And that is like, is it still kind of a little generic? Has it been something we've seen before? Sure, but it's still, I feel like it would have been more compelling than this. And again, it just feels like we're better off with just Jericho going away for a while and let him miss him. Let us miss him. It's just, it's mind-boggling how this man just keeps ending up on like these pay-per-views that no one wants to see him in. Like, and
look, I think there's a certain level of fairness that needs to be displayed. I get Jericho's value to what AEW was. AEW would not have had the support it did in day 1, day 2, if Jericho wasn't a major factor to the company. But we're past those days. Now, that's not to say, I genuinely am not saying I never want to see Jericho again. I'm not saying I'm done with Chris Jericho. Jericho's awesome. Like that tweet that said Jericho is not good, I don't agree with that. Jericho is good. Jericho is even great on occasion still. But similar to how Cody was before Cody left AEW, there needs to be a reset, and I don't know that Jericho knows how to do the reset. We're very clearly getting a heel Jericho again. And to sort of what Matt's point was, I feel like there were easier ways of getting Jericho to this point than how we've gotten here. This has been wildly convoluted. This has been wildly unsatisfying. And when you throw in the ingredient of predictability, which is we've all been expecting this turn to happen since the moment he partnered up with Hook. It's going to Eric's comments in the chat. It feels like they're hot-shotting the story and they're trying to get through what he said was like a year's worth of story in a month. And that's not necessarily a bad thing because quite frankly, I don't need this to drag. But their pacing has just been really weird. Like Jericho latched on to Hook, who never even had a moment of, I'm cool with this. It was just, sure, you're here. And now it's like this personal thing. I don't know. It just feels weird. It feels weird, and it's a bummer.
I think Jericho's idea of a reset is winning this title, even if it's short-lived. Like, you know, he drops it.
He's gonna, yeah.
Is this a FTW championship match? I didn't see the announcement, so
I did, but I don't even remember if it was officially announced as such. But I'd be shocked if it wasn't.
It is.
Yeah,
it is officially. Jesus, that's annoying. But yeah, I agree. You know, with everything you said, James. I agree with Producer Boy in the chat. They did this way too quickly. And granted, we said in the beginning of this, we don't want Hook caught up in the unfortunately now copyrighted Jericho vortex, but it just, the way they did this was so weird because I could see them actually writing out a story where Jericho is genuinely trying to help Hook and they're doing okay for a while and then something happens and then Hook is like, okay, this was the line I figured you were going to cross, even if it was unintentional. So Hook starts rejecting Jericho, and then Jericho gets pissed and turns on him, and then you push Taz, and then there you go. But they try to do this within, 3, maybe 4 weeks to make it for the pay-per-view? If anything, this should be on the next pay-per-view right? That would have gave it the time to breathe. And yeah, maybe we would have bitched that Hook is still with Jericho, but at least the story would have been better. And maybe we could have been like, oh, okay, maybe this Jericho thing isn't so bad as long as it ends at this next pay-per-view. So it's just unfortunate the way they did it. As I said before, I just don't think Jericho had the acting chops to pull this off tonight, where he was supposed to want to help Hook, but then eventually get frustrated. He was just neither the entire time. And it came off, as everyone said, poorly and awkwardly. And it is unfortunate as we head into that match on Sunday.
I've got one more note. If you don't mind. I think he does have the chops, but I definitely don't think he delivered here. And I think it probably will end at the next pay-per-view with the third match, the blow-off match of Hook beating Jericho and regaining the FTW championship. And it's just like, I don't want to see any of this. Like, again, just go away for a while and you'll come back, and you'll probably come back to open arms. And it happens in wrestling. You have your highs and your lows. And James, that entire thing you said about Jericho and what he's done for AEW, it's very well said. Completely agree with you. I think you said that exact same sentiment like 3 weeks ago, and it's things true. Like,
yeah,
and that's
I also do want to point out something in terms of this weekend. They made a point when speaking about Hook as FTW champion that he is the second two-time champion. The only other man who have done that being his father, Taz. I think we're going to get Taz. I think that the Hook here, no pun intended, is that we're going to get Hook as a three-time FTW champion, surpassing his father.
Yeah.
But let me tell you how little that means to me. Like, and it's nothing against anyone. I in the early days of AEW, before the Continental Crown, before the International Championship, around when the TNT title existed, I loved the FTW title. I wanted that thing to be like this rogue belt, the way they describe it in commentary. I think it could have been this great thing. But at this point, it's just a prop for Hook or whoever Team Taz was feuding with. And now it's a prop that, like, you can't avoid. Like, if you're Hook and you're an important storyline, you're obligated almost to defend that title. But who do I care about seeing win that title today? Nobody.
Would you compare the $1 million championship?
I mean, in concept, yes. It's a prop for the person holding it that doesn't really have any bearing on the company and like the rankings of anything. Was that a cough or a sneeze?
It was a cough. I've been out the entire episode, bro.
Yeah.
It's rough out here in the streets.
My hope, as somebody who used to love the FTW title, my hope is that Hook wins it the third time and then they just retire it. Like, officially retire it. Not quietly. They make a thing of it. Like, I am the first and I want to be the only three-time champion and I'm getting rid of the belt.
And Jack Perry comes back and he's like, "What the fuck?"
From your lips.
All I want. That's my last.
I also do want to point out that I think Hook, should he lose on Sunday, like you guys are predicting, that will only be his second loss. His first being to Jack Perry, if I'm not mistaken. Oh no, Joe. Sorry, it'll be his third. He lost.
Yeah,
to
Joe. Yeah.
So his list will be Jack Perry, Samoa Joe, and Chris Jericho.
Not bad, guys. Not bad.
On paper, that's not bad. In context,
even in context,
in context, one was one of the biggest stars in the company. One was one of the best matches they've had on TV, and one is to an elderly man who needs to go away for a while. I will say this though: two things. One, Eric in the chat saying Jericho should only be having matches with top guys, not guys that no one knows. A, people know Hook, and B, I think at a point, Jericho should be having matches with guys that they want to get over, similar to Copeland. It's just Copeland is A, better, and B, as a title at the moment.
And he's a shinier toy. He's a shinier toy.
Like, yeah, we're all annoyed with Jericho. And B, to bring it back to something you said earlier, Matt, about Jericho going away, Moxley just went away, and we're all saying at the top of the show how much we missed him because we forgot how much we missed him. And that's something Jericho could truly, truly use right now.
I do gotta disagree with this point, though. Jericho isn't good at getting guys over. He is. It's like 50-50. He really did play a big part in MJF showing different sides of himself.
The man got a New York Times award with MJF, for fuck's sake. Like,
exactly. Like, he has in AEW helped get certain guys over. He's also hurt a lot of guys. But I think a lot of that hurt came from how long most of his feuds went.
Ricky Starks.
And you know what's crazy? Ricky's feud was one of the shortest ones.
Yeah, and it still was too long.
2 months. I think
it was also booked backwards.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely booked backwards. But he is capable of helping get young guys over. But the problem is Jericho is also somewhat focused on still getting himself over.
Yeah.
It's also diminishing returns as well. Like, the more people he puts over, the less impact it has.
This is true. Yeah. Which actually kind of does lean into Eric's next point in the chat, saying just have Jericho be a special attraction so he goes against top people, which I don't know why Matt is full screen right now, but it could be something, you know, but Jericho wants to go not every week, but most weeks. And I think that's something that
truly have him go to New Japan.
It would be cool. Shit.
Have him go to New Japan.
Hot take. Let him have a run at TNA really fast.
Hey, what the fuck?
No, you're not gonna tell me that wouldn't be fun.
I don't know.
Would it not be fun? I was just asking. I thought it could have been fun. If it's not gonna be fun, send it back to New Japan.
Could it be fun? Yes, it could be fun. Do I have any faith in the Jericho that I just watched tonight delivering for the product that I'm watching on a weekly basis? No, it's just New Japan is more of a special event kind of thing anyway. So whatever.
I would have trusted Scott D'Amore to do it, but
fair enough. Fair enough. Chris Jericho on the Dynasty card. That's fucked up.
The clowns stacked up with the soldiers.
It's not even that fucked up. It's like,
oh no, it's funny. It's funny. It's just that's fucked.
There are a lot of people online who are upset that this match is on the regular card over the Acclaimed.
See, but the problem is this is literally, in my opinion, the one black spot on the card. Everything else is pristine. This is the one part where they drop the ball a little bit. And quite frankly, is it wrong? Absolutely. Are we shocked that Chris Jericho is on a pay-per-view? No. This isn't something that we should be shocked about. We could be upset, we could be disappointed, but if you allow this to ruin what is an otherwise immaculate card for you this Sunday, you gotta ease up. You gotta unclench the panties, like it's okay. The buttocks can rest, guys. It's just Jericho. It's gonna go 10 to 15 minutes at worst.
Yeah, and I can tell you right now, when we review this on Sunday, I'm not going to have anything to say because I'm going to get up, I'll probably use the bathroom. Maybe that's when my food is done. I'm not really going to watch this match, and I'm already a little upset because I like Hook a lot, but it is what it is. All right, we've spent far too much time on Chris Jericho.
That was my fault.
No, it's okay. He is still Chris Jericho. He's still polarizing. He still gets to talk about it.
He's still the man The Rock and Stone Cold in the same night for the WWE Undisputed Championship.
Even when he's bad, we're still talking about him. You can at least give him that. All right. Let us move on to our next segment, which was another sit-down interview, this time with Swerve Strickland. Renee asked Swerve about Joe's comments earlier in the night, especially about Swerve being a choke artist. And Swerve says that even when he has fallen, he has always fallen forward, listing all of the things he's been through recently that he has lost but has bounced back from, including losing to Darby Allin, including getting choked out by Hangman, the contract signing that left him bloody and beaten, etc., etc., etc. Renee asks what makes Swerve think that he can beat Joe, and Swerve tells Renee, all due respect to her, I don't know who put up the Eric Hates Women, but I'll take it. All due respect to Renee, this is something he needs to and will tell Joe face to face in the ring. So this was a lot shorter than Joe's, but I did want to make a note here because earlier in the show, they went to picture in picture and they had a commercial and it was for Dynamite and it was Swerve centric. And Swerve brought up his military background. And then during this promo, he also mentioned that his ability to consistently come back is also a result of his military training. And James, I just found that interesting as Swerve is starting to turn face, that perhaps maybe they start leaning into this a little bit more, or maybe it's an attempt to lean into it a little bit more to try to help him, I don't know, appeal to a broader audience. It's a very face move. It just doesn't feel very Swerve.
I think the reality is, and I've been talking about this for a while when it comes to Swerve, his journey to the AEW world title has been organic, but odd. Where they haven't done a lot to get me?
Because I read the comments of why Eric hates women, and he said the women are a pay-per-view bathroom break.
Yes,
and not in this company. Actually, not in either company anymore. No. If you're not watching these women matches, you are missing out, sir. Put the banner back up.
But Swerve is a character that we have not been given reasons to root for. We have not been given reasons in story that I'm supposed to support this guy. So I think this is just another attempt at continuing to give him layers and to give him to make him more three-dimensional. Because the coolest things that we cheer him for are kind of being a crazy son of a bitch. And I'm cool with that. I don't need every babyface to be a white meat babyface. So I like there being some flavor to baby faces. But again, I need some reason to actually think this is a good person worth cheering for. So is this it? I don't know. Maybe. Hey, if it's legit, I'm glad that I know it. I mean, not that it's legit. It's obviously legit. They wouldn't say it otherwise.
Yeah.
But this is legit. That is an extra, topping on this pizza. So I'm in. I didn't need this in particular, but it's something.
I know I've been saying for a while, especially when Swerve was full-blown heel, it leaned into like old school rap beefs from like the 90s, especially when he was invading dudes' houses. And I was just like, okay, yeah. And then eventually all those guys come out, even now, outside of a couple of like really bad things. But like, you look at a dude like Tupac, he's face, so to speak. People love Tupac. Man has like sexual assault on his record. He was in jail for it, and people still love him. Now, obviously, Swerve didn't go that bad, but he did go after Hangman's kid in kayfabe. My point being, the man is a rapper, and he is always in rap beefs, and he takes it really far. And if we're going to do this, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm remembering my rap history correctly, Ice-T was in the military, and when he got out, he used his training to rob banks before he became a rapper. My point being, there's a way to do this where if you had introduced this earlier and Swerve was using his military training to, I don't know, break into Hangman's house, and now you're like, he's a military guy. Now he's trying to get his life together after being such a douchebag for all these years, a la Ice-T. I feel like this could have worked. But Matt, they're just throwing it into our laps out of nowhere. It's really random. I get the intent, but it's just, where is this coming from?
I think you said it really well said, and I agree. I think
glad somebody thinks it was well said.
I don't remember what he said during the commercial break, but that did, I did hear the military thing. I was like, oh, I didn't know that. And then specifically,
right. It's just the one thing that just poked out of that commercial.
Yeah. During the Renee interview, he said specifically because of his military upbringing. And that, to me, I was just like, I'm like, were you in the military? Are you from a military family? What is the context here? I didn't look it up, but that was definitely the question I asked. But it's like, also, why am I asking this question the week before you're going to be, the show before you're going to become, probably going to become world champion, unless they're going to divulge more information, like, as he's crowned champion. I don't know where they're going with it. So this might have to be a wait and see kind of thing. Again, it's not like a train wreck like the last thing we just talked about with Jericho was, but curious, I would say, but also a little kind of like uneven. But again, Swerve's great, Joe's great. I'm sure they're gonna have a great match, and they both did compelling promos. I wish we had talked more about Joe's, but we have, you can't cover everything, and I that because we'd be here all night.
I mean, give your 2 cents on Joe.
Yeah,
that's okay. Give your 2 cents on his promo.
I love Joe. I love how uneasy he makes me. Like, the stuff about Jeff Hardy when he brought up, like, his past problems. Like, I knew Joe wouldn't go here, but I almost, like, in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh my God, don't say anything racial, Joe. Don't do it. Like, you know what I mean? When he's saying like, oh, like this guy can't be champion. I'm like, don't say it because of, and it's like, obviously he didn't, but at the same time, Joe is just so volatile that you almost like worry that he might say something like that. So that's why I was like glued to my chair watching Joe's promo.
Yeah, I always say the greatest thing I ever saw almost anybody say in a ring, but especially Joe, is when he was calling out Brock Lesnar and he said, look at me when I'm talking to you. And Brock almost killed him on the spot. Like the balls to do that to Brock fucking Lesnar was insane. I did Google Swerve's background real quick. So his father was in the army and he lived in Frankfurt, Germany at the base there, pretty much from when he was 2 months old and all the way till he was 7. And then when Swerve was 17, he enlisted in the U.S. Army Reserve and stayed there for 8 years. So he was Army Reserve for quite a while. So he does have the training, he does have the background. He was a specialist. But that's not something we knew, at least in AEW.
Yeah, thanks for that info. Because WWE, I remember they always love to do, like during Veterans Day and whatnot. Yeah. They were like Bobby Lashley, Montez Ford. I don't think they ever did Isaiah Swerve Scott. You know what I mean? So
he wasn't even really on the main roster yet. So, but even then, they usually would throw the guy on there. It's like, hey, look at this guy we have in NXT.
Yeah.
But, again, there was, like I said, another thing where they could have used it better and they just didn't, which is unfortunate. But we'll see how that plays out going forward. And again, a very small note in this very good promo. I like the rest of it. It was just something odd.
And we're not even saying it's bad, by the way. We just it was an interesting drop.
Yeah.
To have happened. Yeah.
All right, let's move on. We've been spending a lot of time on like the small shit today.
It's me. Guilty as charged.
We don't go on tangents. All right, we then move on to Mariah May versus Deonna Purrazzo. Obviously, Mariah had timeless Toni Storm accompany her to the ring. I'll just go over a couple of quick notes here. We got Deonna got into Venus de Milo at some point, but Mariah did end up getting a rope break. And then we had at the end of the match, Mariah hit a headbutt and then hit the hip attack in the corner and then hit a Tony-esque DDT, but Deonna was able to kick out. Mariah then goes for a Mayday, but that is countered. And then Mariah is able to counter that counter into a roll-up. However, Deonna reversed that into a roll-up of her own and picked up the win. Immediately after the bell, Tony jumps in and just starts kicking Deonna's ass until Thunder Rosa comes down and gets the save for Deonna. Thunder clears out Tony and Mariah, and then when Tony helps Deonna up, they get into it with each other once again, kind of like last week. The two end up shoving each other, and then Mariah pulled Deonna out of the ring, and they started throwing hands and kind of spill their way into the back. Tony then jumped into the ring and blindsides Thunder, almost getting a Storm Zero, but Thunder is able to reverse it and lock Toni pretty much in a camel clutch, kind of. But instead of submitting her, Thunder took some lipstick and smeared it all over Toni's face as retribution for Toni spearing off her face paint last week. James, good match out of the women. It wasn't too long, but it wasn't time slot of death, which was nice. And once again, we're getting a lot of momentum, not only towards the match on Sunday, but this Thunder Rosa Deonna Purrazzo feud building, which I'm really liking that we're getting a non-title feud between two top women in the company. Yeah. Even though no matter what happened tonight, we're getting that probably for the first time
in a while.
I don't want to say ever, but in a long while.
Soraya probably. Soraya with the Outcast
probably.
Stuff. Yeah. No, I very much enjoyed this. I got to meet Deonna at WrestleCon over WrestleMania weekend, and I can't even say it was my first time meeting her. I got to see her again. She legitimately, I think she's one of my all-time favorite female wrestlers. And I joked with her. I was just like, man, I don't need more reasons to not like Thunder Rosa, but her knocking you out of the title picture is really not doing her any favors. And I stand by that. But I'm very grateful we're getting kind of two storylines in one here. Three, if you think about it, because we are going to get to
Mariah.
Well, yeah, we got Toni and Thunder. We got Deonna and Mariah. We got what will be Deonna and Thunder at some point, and then a fourth, which will eventually be Mariah and Toni. So I very much enjoy this. The match itself, like you said, was good. It was fine. Nothing. They didn't really get to cook all the way they should have, but that was because the story was bigger. And I do love the difference of Toni just smearing Thunder's makeup last week. Just absolutely embarrassing her. And then this week, the inverse happening. Instead of wiping off makeup, she just smeared it all over her face. I thought that was great. So good stuff from all four women. Luther ate that hit from
he got trucked.
Woofa.
That was a straight hit stick.
Thunder came in hot in general. Like she wailed on Luther, and then she hit Toni.
It was like Sean Taylor in the Pro Bowl against that punter. He just laid him the fuck out.
And she nailed Toni with a stiff kick to the gut. Like she ran in with a kick to the gut. It was good. It was good. So just great work from all four women. And man, oh man, do I want Deonna Purrazzo to win the title? Sure, if you want to go Mariah May, that's fine. If you want to no to Thunder Rosa, I'm sorry, no. But
I don't think Thunder's going to win. I'm honestly I'm more curious of if and when we get the triple threat between these women, Matt.
I don't even know if that's happening anymore. I feel like that would have been the match in between.
Is that fucking Owens behind those flowers?
It is.
It's a good picture. Bonk producer boy, bonk, and Humble Wrestling on Twitter, bonk.
I did get to meet Mariah at WrestleCon as well, and we may or may not be doing a Mariah May autograph giveaway sometime soon.
Dibs.
I'm about to say, I get in on this. Like
the immediate
everyone is welcome for the autograph giveaway. They might. I will say this, but you're eligible.
The tweet producer boy put up saying Mariah May versus Jamie Hayter down the line is going to be fun. I don't know what happened. James says going to get something, perhaps the autograph. But Matt, what do you think of the match storyline here? And where do you think all of this goes? At least, well, both I guess near and far. But I don't know. Pick what you want there and go for it.
Well, I'm glad James is gone because he stole my thunder. I was definitely going to come in and say the best part I thought was Thunder Rosa running. I thought she was going to come right through the TV screen. Like it was like she's coming in hot, hard and fast, just the way I like it. Luther goes down.
Hey, yo.
hey, I'm on a roll here. Anyway, that was cool. And then neither of you mentioned it, so I will mention it. I loved when after she smeared the makeup on, Tony Schiavone said, "That's not even the champ's color." And which it was not. It was quite a few shades off. I couldn't tell you which color was which, but they were.
Well,
Doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out they were not the same shade of lipstick.
personally, I can't tell the champ's color, not just because I'm colorblind, but because it's normally in black and white. And, it's a little difficult to tell in monochromatic.
Colorblind.
It was certainly less noticeable when she was black and white that they were two different shades. Something to show us.
That's my point.
Wait, Rev, I got you something.
Oh, really?
I got you a gift.
Okay. I'm nervous and excited.
Nice.
Is that my man, the bounty hunter? Let's go. My guy.
Didn't know you talked. I didn't realize you went and met him.
Yeah. I got that and some buttons and some stickers, and they're all yours, Rev.
Let's go. I appreciate it, man.
I told him that I loved calling him Bandit Keith, and he's like, Yu-Gi-Oh is probably the reason I got into wrestling, and I'm like, that's
crazy.
Please do a Bandit Keith.
It's one of these,
attire, please.
That's sick. Low key, high key, my favorite wrestler in Ring of Honor.
Yeah. So yeah, when I see you, that's yours.
God, great. I have another thing I need to frame. Dude, you'd be surprised.
Go to Michael's. You always get 40% off frames there. It's like,
Michael's is awesome.
I have a couple of things that need to be professionally framed by like a sports guy. So
I got you. Yeah, those jerseys, man. Those
is that
frames.
Dog I was like, why do you put up Dog the Bounty Hunter? Isn't he in jail?
Yeah, probably.
He did. He crossed Mexico by mistake. He crossed in Mexico by mistake, and you're not allowed to bounty hunt in Mexico. And then he got put in Mexican jail.
Was he chasing the guy?
Yeah. He was chasing a perp and went in there bounty hunting, and you can't do it in Mexico. So
Eric said he was on Fox News last week, but so was Tyrus. So who cares?
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Fuck Tyrus.
Moving on. We then went backstage for an interview with the Bang Bang Gang. Renee and the leather did kind of match them, which looked cool. I just like that jacket. Anyway, the boys have been having some fun recently. Hi to Matt's parents. The Bang Bang Gang, they've been doing some scissoring. The Ass Boys got to spend some quality time with their old man. Didn't have to put Matt's parents up in the front. But that is clearly all over now. Right now, it is about gold for Bullet Club Gold, as they already have their set of titles in the Ring of Honor 6-man tag team championships, and they have set a challenge to the Acclaim to put up their AEW World Trios Championships, title versus title, anytime, anywhere. We then came back from commercial, and Daddy S, on behalf of the Acclaimed, accepted that challenge. That match was then made for Dynasty, and Caster and Bowens challenged the Ass Boys to a tag match this weekend. Wasn't sure if it was Dynamite or Collision, Rampage or Collision. I think both are running on Saturday because of the NBA playoffs, though. So.
They are. I really can't believe we're getting this match.
Do you think they're gonna merge them?
They should. If there was, I am not a pro unification guy in most instances, but if there was ever a set of titles that could afford to be absorbed away, it would be the Ring of Honor 6-man tag titles, and they are just not doing it. It seems, or at least not out the gate. Out the gate, it just seems like both titles are on the line, and whoever wins is going to hold both sets of titles. But that's crazy to me.
Now, I know you're not watching Ring of Honor weekly anymore, but pay-per-view wise, do you think that's going to truly affect it if they're not on every time?
So at Supercard of Honor, Jay and the Ass Boys had a open challenge, and quite frankly, it was awesome. It was answered by Lance Archer. I forget who his partner's name is because he's not a guy I'm too familiar with.
Oh, it's those new They're like
No. It's
not the
it
guys
wasn't.
you've been running with.
No. This was a guy who's a New Japan guy, and I'm just not too familiar with him. And then it was Minoru Suzuki.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it's like, all right, in an instance like that, that's awesome. But can you afford to do that every time? And should I only care about these titles at your like quarterly pay-per-views? No. So no, I would just rather see the trios titles, the AEW trios titles absorb the Ring of Honor 6-man tag titles. Quite frankly, Ring of Honor doesn't really have enough of a roster to justify.
I'll say what you want to say. They cut the boys. We don't need these titles anymore.
All right. Yes, but also kind of screw the boys.
Oh, did something happen that
You don't root for Dalton Castle to get fired because you got fired.
Oh, yeah.
You don't say Dalton is if we're not part of the act, Dalton is just as replaceable. You don't say things like that. Even if you are bitter, you don't root for somebody else to get fired.
Boys, he made you the boys. You're with all due respect to the boys, you're two dudes in a mask. You were replaceable like that. You can't replace the peacock.
I enjoyed the boys.
They were good.
They weren't to me. They weren't just faceless kids. Like I saw their talent, but know whose feathers you're holding on to right now.
Yeah.
You know, and no, just I am anti-boy right now. Nope, I said it. I would never touch those boys.
All right, now you gotta slow down.
Dalton Castle told us never touch another man's boys, and I respected that. But now I don't want to touch his boys. They could just be boys elsewhere.
They're not even his boys anymore. They're his former boys.
They're not even Johnny TV and Taya Valkyrie's boys anymore. They're
boys at all.
They're just lost boys.
Maybe they're men pretending to be boys.
Thank you, James.
They have been boys for like a decade with Dalton, at least a decade.
And I will say, I know you guys didn't really get to watch Supercard. Dalton brought out some other boys that were just goddamn amazing. He had like a battalion of boys.
Yeah.
He had battalion of boys before, but like there's always two main boys that have always like they're up front and center.
I like that, the boy battalion. I like it. I'm gonna pitch it.
Okay. But I
talk to Dalton.
Text him.
Mate.
What happened?
I get half the royalty. I don't know who came up with it.
I said boy battalion first.
No, I said boy battalion.
Absolutely not. You reiterated it.
We have the tape. We can go back and check it.
I said a battalion of boys.
Okay. Maybe, I think you did. Never mind.
All right, 80-20 James Webb.
Fair enough. I'm willing to share. I'm willing to share a little bit.
All right.
Moving on. Did you have stuff on this?
It's fine.
No, dude, he got so derailed that he forgot that he didn't.
Yeah, no, I should have put up the We Don't Go on Tangents thing. The Acclaimed Bang Bang Gang at Dynasty. Are you upset? Do you think that we're going to get unification? Thoughts?
I mean, it's like they put
transition.
I'm like, okay, something to do, and then they broke them up, and I felt like they broke them up too fast. But I'm starting to like rev up and like get ready for this match, and now it's like in the pre-show, and I feel like the wind has been taken out of my sails.
That's the sin here.
Am I still gonna enjoy it? Sure. Do I think the Bang Bang Gang is gonna win? Yeah. Do I think Juice Robinson is gonna come back and cost the Scissor Gang the titles? Yes. So like all those things, sure, but I just wish it was on the main card, and I get it. You can't have everything, but I'm sure they're gonna have a good match, and that's something to look forward to. And there was something else specifically, but I've forgotten. It's not a big deal.
I'm gonna ask you both a question. I'm gonna start with Matt. Are you more likely to watch the pre-show now that this match is on the pre-show?
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Rev, same question.
I was always going to watch it. I will pay more attention, and the sound will definitely be on for this match.
Now, if Jericho Hook was on the pre-show, would you go out of your way to watch the pre-show?
Again, I would watch it. I'd probably have it up and maybe on mute, depending on which game is on the side TV.
And as much as it sucks, this is why it's on the pre-show.
Yeah, I understand it's a business. I've always understood it's a business reason. It's just annoying.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. But this is the reason why. And quite frankly, I can't, even if you take Hook Jericho out of it, I don't know what match I would put on the pre-show in place of it.
I would have to look at the card. I couldn't do it off the top of my head.
Yeah,
but
fuck it.
The card is super stacked. You're right.
Danielson Ospreay pre-show, obviously. We're done.
Real quick, speaking of Ospreay in the chat, Eric asking, are they doing Will Ospreay versus Mox at Forbidden Door for the title? I'm assuming he means the IWGP, and the answer to that I think is no, because Will is full-time AEW, and Mox, while he has contracts with both, I think is more AEW than New Japan. So no, I think it's going to be Mox versus whoever they build up full-time in New Japan. And you look like you're going to say Jack Perry, and I'm scared. Okay. Kian. Jay? Or, who? I don't know who's in Bullet Club anymore.
Shooter.
Oh, Shooter.
Shooter McGavin?
Yeah, Shooter. No, Shota.
Shota Umino. So after Moxley won the title, he got on the mic and he challenged somebody that he wants to defend the title against, and it was Shota Umino. He then got attacked by Ren Narita, and Shota came out and defended his mentor, Jon Moxley, against Ren Narita and drove him off. I do think Moxley's first title defense will be against Ren Narita, but many people, our very own Dragoon included, thinks that Moxley should drop the belt inevitably to Shota. And maybe Forbidden Door is the place to do it. But granted, if I'm New Japan, yes.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you're New Japan, you're going to have him drop the title on a split pay-per-view.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I would wait.
But then again, we did just say if there was ever an opportunity to have somebody drop one of the two major titles, it is Moxley losing to a full-time New Japan guy. Now, do you want to crown Shota at that show?
So right now, and I don't know if this is a tangent or not, but it kind of is. New Japan has 3 talent that are undoubtedly their future. It's Ren Narita, it's Tsuji, and Yota Tsuji, and it is Shota Umino. With those 3 men being poised to be the future of New Japan Pro Wrestling, if you want them to have Western appeal, maybe this is the card to do it. And Shota,
Shooter,
yeah, and Shota being Moxley's protege, Blackpool Combat Club adjacent, maybe this makes a lot of sense. I don't know what to believe anymore. I've gotten myself all dizzy thinking about this. I ran and I walked.
All right, take a breath. Plenty of time for that. You can formulate your opinions. I'm going to move on because I think you've gotten yourself a little flustered.
I'm hyperventilating a little bit. Let's move forward.
Quick, I actually have a family thing I got to take care of, so I will talk to you boys later. Everything's okay, no big deal. But
all right.
Thank you for joining us, Matt.
Don't end the stream. Yeah. Don't end the stream.
That out.
Just close your tab. Thank God. Okay, moving on. We then went to Orange Cassidy versus Shane Taylor, one-on-one matchup. Orange, obviously, notably comes out alone. Chucky T is hurt. Rocky Romero's not around. Shibata is notably in Japan. And obviously, Trent has turned on him. The match was good enough. Honestly, I kind of spent some time setting up the stream, and I missed a little bit of it. But Orange did eventually win after trading some serious blows with former boxer Shane Taylor. Eventually, he lands an orange punch and gets a W. But more importantly is what happened after the match. So immediately, Shane Taylor Promotions, Lee Moriarty, Anthony Ogogo immediately jump Orange after the match, start the beatdown, and there's obviously nobody there because he doesn't have friends. Eventually, good guy, noted good guys, Christopher Daniels and Matt Sydal. Is it Daniel or Daniels? It's Daniel.
Christopher Daniels.
Yes. They come down, attempt to come down for the save, but a hooded figure takes them both out on the ramp with chairs, and it is Trent Beretta, still wearing the Orange Cassidy and Trent Beretta with Chuck Taylor.
I really want to believe.
Shirt.
I really want to believe he put it on that night and just hasn't changed since. That's really what I want to believe.
That would be gross. Trent then head nods Shane to continue the beatdown as he goes to the back. Okay, I have a lot of things here. Mostly, I missed a decent chunk of the next match because of arguing with Producer Boy in our chat about Shane Taylor promotions. I got suckered in. I'm sorry to myself. It was stupid. This match was fine. It did its fucking job, and that's what it was supposed to do.
Absolutely.
You had the mid-tier bad guy group come out. The bad guy lost because this solo star who had just got turned on is able to pick up the win. Especially, shout out to Shane, a little bit of respect. Told the Go-Go and Moriarty to stay on the outside and let me win this by myself. Obviously, it backfired on him. Then we have the bad guy group come in, jump the good guy, and then the guy he just got turned on by, phrasing, that works. Obviously interferes, and then it leads to a further beatdown. Everything worked properly here. Now, I know Shane Taylor Promotions is a little bit new to AEW. They've only been around a couple of weeks, but they have been long built in Ring of Honor, and Ogogo has been a recent addition. They were just on AEW last week. They've been on a couple pay-per-views. At least Shane Taylor has. Like, they've been around for a few weeks. They are trying to build this faction. James, this could be a solid mid-tier faction.
I agree.
You saw it here tonight. They did their fucking jobs properly. I'm not even going to look at the comments because I don't want to fucking deal with him. He's wrong.
You're absolutely right. He's wrong. We need to accept the fact. Ring of Honor is not what Ring of Honor used to be. Ring of Honor is AEW's NXT.
Yes.
And if I could watch Monday Night Raw and be okay with Roxanne showing up and going over talent on the main roster, if I could watch Ilya Dragunov go over Shinsuke Nakamura on the main roster.
But those are big names, James.
But you know what? Those are... He's not running dance. What is wrong with you?
Ignore him.
But I will not ignore this guy. Sup, Navarro? Thank you.
Hey, Navarro.
Buddy. Missed you. Dynamite was good tonight. Genuinely, Dynamite was good tonight. We had a great matchup in Claudio Castagnoli and Will Ospreay, which we haven't covered yet. We're going to get into that. And a lot of storyline building as we get to the pay-per-view this Sunday.
Yeah, whole lot of setup tonight.
Whole lot of setup. But I do not have a problem with, like you said, a mid-card heel stable coming in, losing to the much bigger babyface, but still getting over in a way by getting one up on the good guy after the match. And let's be real, Anthony Ogogo, a known AEW entity. Granted, hasn't been used in some time, but that was due to injury. But
also, admittedly, needs to be really rehabilitated.
Absolutely. The man who cost AEW Cody Rhodes, he's a heel for life in my book. Lee Moriarty, a talent that's been with AEW since day 2. So no, these are not random faces. These are not unknown entities. And Shane Taylor had an excellent feud with Keith Lee. Granted, that was a Ring of Honor feud mostly, but he's been doing his thing. MJF also comes out after. Okay.
I was gonna say, who's Shane fight it All Out?
I gotta double check.
Was that him? I'll check it. Navarro wondering, does MJF come out after Swerve wins? I think he does. James, are you checking All Out?
I am. I don't know if I think MJF comes out. Yes. I don't see any reason for him to come out and get involved in the title picture. when there is
Right.
a kingdom that he needs to dismantle.
And I think a big problem with that is they have allegedly put Cole on the back burner since his injury is taking longer than they thought. So the kingdom might be a little, well, they might be gone for a while, but I guess
I mean, they do have a presence this Sunday.
Yeah, Eric did make a good point. If anything, MJF would help Joe lose.
Yeah, because Joe was working with the kingdom.
Exactly. So
we shall see in that front. And Shane Taylor wrestled Samoa Joe.
Right. I was going to say, it wasn't the meat match, but it was a meat match.
It was a meat match.
Because that was that card, wasn't it? The meat match.
It was no. The meat match was way more recent. That was supposed to be at World's End.
No. Not the big one. The original, like, everyone was chanting meat at the guys match. Wasn't that Miedo versus Hobbs?
Yeah.
And then also we had Lee and Taylor on that card.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a combination of there was some momentum built.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's why I remembered. I was like, there was a lot of big meaty men slapping meat on that card.
But I gotta go to sleep on Evil in like 6 hours. Oh, okay. Well, good luck, Eric.
Good night, Eric. Have fun storming the castle. All right. Let's move on. We next up had a video package real quick for Roderick Strong betraying Kyle O'Reilly. I don't know why we would betray Cool Kyle. What a dick. And then I'll say we went from one dick to another, from fucking Trent to Roderick.
Yeah.
And then we jumped into what was very obviously match of the night: Will Ospreay versus Claudio Castagnoli. I need to watch this back.
Yeah, I do too.
I was really kind of hoping you would carry me on this, but I still need to watch.
No. I can. This was an excellent matchup of two varying styles. Ospreay.
I have the breakdown. I missed a decent chunk of it, like I said before, because I was fucking arguing with Producer Boy like a moron.
Yeah.
I will just do the end here. After hitting a Spanish fly, Ospreay went for the hidden blade. I will Spanish fly twice. But Claudio countered with a pop-up uppercut, which was sick. And then Will kicked out of that. Claudio then went for the swing, but Ospreay countered it, which we don't see often.
I loved it. You know what the crazy part is? When he was going for the swing, in the back of my mind, I was thinking, you know what? If there's anybody who would be clever enough and athletic enough to counter it, I would love for it to be Ospreay. And lo and behold, he did. He did it a little bit earlier than I thought he would. I would have liked to have seen a rotation or two, but man, it was still just cool to see.
Yeah, it was awesome. He countered it with a very clean DDT.
Yeah.
Which, honestly, sometimes you just got to use the classics.
Absolutely.
Will used that to climb up to the top rope. He then hit a sky twister and then set up and hit a hidden blade for the win. Yep. After the match, the family of that carny piece of shit, Don Callis, who was on
commentary. Yeah.
They came out and jumped Claudio. Don pretended it wasn't his call. Sure, bud. But Moxley eventually came down for the save, and somehow in a 3-on basically 1 situation, staved off Hobbs, Takesha, and Fletcher.
Well, if anyone would know the psychology of how to counter a 3-on-1 attack, it would be someone like Jon Moxley.
Yep. He was able to clear the ring with them, obviously going after Hobbs first and foremost as much as he can after he called him out earlier in the evening, and then that match was then set for next week. After the BCC cleared the ring, though, Ospreay got way up in the face of all the other Don Callis family members, saying that was bullshit. I beat him fair and square. Why did you go after him? He was very, very upset about that attack.
Not upset enough to stop it, though.
Yes, he walked out of the ring when it happened, but then was like, what the fuck, bruv? We also then got a bunkhouse match made for this weekend on Saturday, a bunkhouse brawl match. It was Claudio and Danielson against Ospreay and I want to say Takeshka. I missed the fourth guy, but it was another member of the Don Callis family. either way, bold move having that match the night before the pay-per-view.
It's Fletcher and Takeshita. Yeah.
It was Fletcher and Takeshita. Either way, they put Danielson in it. So a lot of matches coming out of this entire feud, which is cool. I think it's a really good group of highly talented guys going after each other. But James, as you were saying, this was match of the night. It was really, really awesome. Hopefully you can give it a little more gravitas than I have because I'm an idiot and got sucked into an argument.
No, go rewatch it. And I think the most impressive thing about this match was I was continuously being impressed while also recognizing the fact that neither man was going at 100%. It definitely felt like this is a match that could have a follow-up, and we're going to see a whole bunch of different things that we didn't see in this matchup. This was a great instance of two different styles blending perfectly, and that's something Claudio will always, always, always be great at. He is so good at taking his style and having it match whoever he's wrestling. He is a great opponent to have. And Ospreay, whether he was throwing himself at Claudio, whether or not he was rushing Claudio, whether or not he was contorting, twisting in the air to deal with Claudio, these two guys were putting on a just absolute banger. And I really mean it when I say I hope there is a sequel, because I don't think we got even. I think this was them going at like 60%, 70%. So just absolute great showing from these guys. Claudio just managing to take the whole I pick things up and put them down and still make it look impressive. At one point, catching Ospreay, who dove from inside the ring over the top rope. Claudio just casually grabs him, casually holds him, and then just drops him on the apron. It was
a sweet spot.
sweet maneuver by these guys. And it's nothing against Claudio. This isn't even going to be Will Ospreay's best BCC match this week. So
not even close. All due respect.
No, not even close. So great matchup. I can't believe we got this on free TV. Man, Claudio, just what can't he do?
He is probably going to go down as one of the most underrated wrestlers of all time. But to your point, I think that's why I never really looked up from my stupid argument, is because, in AEW at a certain point, you can hear Excalibur being like going crazy and you're like, okay, now I got to pay attention. I think just because they didn't hit that next gear, I think that's why I never really truly checked in until the end, is because I was waiting for it to hit the next gear. Yeah. And I think we got stuck purposefully and rightfully got stuck in fourth before we hit fifth or even sixth. So, which is why I need to go back and rewatch. And that's something I've said previously about, BCC matches or even Ospreay TV matches. They'll stop in fourth because you don't want to give away too much and or kill yourself on TV. So definitely the smart play. I'm just, like I said, I'm a dope. What I did watch was sick. That DDT counter was awesome. And again, something we don't see a lot. And I think that's what it made it so much cooler.
Absolutely.
So good showing out of both of these men. And I don't think they ran early, but ran late, but somebody did.
Yeah, seriously.
They ended at fucking 9:58.
Yep. And they did tell us before the match started that we were going to get into an overlay, that we will stick with Dynamite as long as there is Dynamite tonight. So it's cool, but yeah, I think, and I want to get into it if you don't mind. I think this is very indicative of the problem that AEW has been having lately.
So you think that the overrun is a problem?
No. I don't think the concept of an overrun is a problem. I think the overrun being for an entirely different segment and not because we are finishing this main event is the problem. Swerve, who should be the main character right now on TV, they needed to put extra time on the show for him.
Is after the DVR ends.
Exactly. It's was actually really good. That's the problem.
That's important. Like,
yeah, no,
you don't
like,
think about how many people DVR this shit, and then it cuts out at 10 o'clock. And if you're smart, TNT and TBS cut it off a minute earlier. Yep. Normally for the DVR, or at least on mine it did. You got to add the minute. Even then, you should be adding at least 10 minutes to your DVR.
The problem here is I am being told that Swerve is the next main character, or should be the main character of our show right now. But the reality is we just spent a significant amount of time on Will Ospreay. And that's not a bad thing. It's Will Ospreay, quite possibly the best wrestler on the planet today. It's an embarrassment of riches, which is great. But the problem is, if you don't know how to carry all of that, you're going to fumble it. And I don't feel at any point Swerve has been the most important part of the show. And I feel the same, unfortunately, about Samoa Joe as world champion. From the moment Joe won the world title from MJF, from the moment he won that title, it hasn't been about him. He won the title. What was the last thing we saw at that pay-per-view? MJF getting destroyed and betrayed by Adam Cole and the Undisputed Kingdom. His first defense is against Hook. What are we talking about? Look how resilient this kid Hook is. He goes into the triple threat. The afterthought. We knew he was going to retain because we were so focused on the Swerve and Hangman feud. And now we're talking about Will Ospreay and we're talking about Swerve Strickland. At no point does Samoa Joe and the AEW world title feel like the most important thing to the show. And that's a problem.
Yeah, I agree. I do agree with that. I don't know what ran over, but the fact that the main events or the final segment of the match didn't start until, at least on my clock, at 10 o'clock.
Yeah. And
I'm on a delay here, so maybe it started a little bit earlier.
But which one? Swerve and Joe?
Yeah, Swerve and Joe.
I think it was 9:58 or 9:59, but I think it was 9:58.
Yeah, so I'm streaming. So usually streaming is about a minute and a half behind. So on my clock, it started at 10.
Yeah.
The fact that is happening is pretty crazy. I understand you got to get it in into the show, but it's just, and I imagine they cut some of it because. Just to break it down really fast, just so we got what's going on here. Maybe not, because Swerve cut a pretty lengthy promo. But he initially came down to answer the question, how am I going to beat Samoa Joe? Which was posed to him by Renee earlier in the show. Yeah. Swerve says he had Joe running like a bitch last week, and that when he held Joe's title after Joe bailed out of the ring, it looked mighty good on him. So Swerve tells Joe to come down so he can say it directly to his face, or excuse me, to his fat ass. And then Joe, guys, his words, not mine, Joe, please don't kill me. And Joe starts coming down the ramp surrounded by security. Swerve starts saying that they don't need no security. And he just wants to talk to him face to face, which I believe for like a second. And then Swerve stomped all the security at once, leading to them getting face-to-face. Hands start being thrown. Swerve gets sent into the steps, and Joe gets into the ring. Joe then corners Prince Nana, who's not paying attention. And it looks like Nana is a dead man. And then Swerve comes in out of nowhere, hits a drop kick, hits a house call, and then goes up top for the Swerve stomp. However, Joe is able to recover. He knocks Swerve off the top, hits a muscle buster, and stands over Swerve with the AEW championship. So, yeah, obviously not a long segment, but the fact that it was the overrun was, like you said, I do think it's interesting. But I did like the segment as a whole. I thought it was, even if it was cut short, it was pretty good, and I thought it made Joe look strong. And if he is going to lose the title on Sunday, not a bad way to have your last shot on TV.
I know, absolutely. But and commentary pointed this out, which I kind of wish they didn't. But I understand needing to for the sake of it being authentic. Swerve called out Joe and then got knocked out by Joe.
Yep.
Swerve called his shot and he failed. That's not a great look.
It makes Joe look right.
Yeah, it makes Joe look right.
Choke artist.
Choke artist, and this is a guy who doesn't have the qualities of a champion. He just he's a guy who won't stay down. So
I thought Swerve was going to get up.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and maybe it was a time thing. I thought Swerve was going to get up again. I thought Joe was going to have to, like, continuously keep beating his ass. Maybe we went off air with Swerve beating his ass. Like, that would have played more into Swerve's like storyline. How am I going to beat Joe? I'm just going to keep coming. He took one muscle buster and he got stood there with his fucking, the title raised over him and Joe's foot on his chest.
Yep. No, I agree. I agree. This was, again, in a vacuum, a good segment. But given the circumstances of how the night went, it was a weird way for that segment to go for Swerve. So the rules of opposite momentum dictate we're probably going to get a title change. And I think it's
the rules
necessary.
Of Swerve's momentum also dictate we're going to get a title change, but
seriously, I don't know. I'm for it. I am for the title change. I am for a new direction for AEW. I love Joe, but I think it's necessary. And I don't know, weird segment. And again, never against the concept of an overlap or an overrun, I should say. But it shouldn't be to start and finish a whole new segment. It just shouldn't be.
Yeah. The match goes a few minutes over. Awesome. The contract signing goes a few minutes over. Cool. I agree with you completely. If we're putting our top guys, especially on the go home show, which we haven't said all night, weirdly enough.
Yeah.
On the go home show, we're doing our top guys in the overlap. It's a bit of a weird spot.
Absolutely.
All right, but that was Dynamite. I didn't forget Sunday was the show. I agree, Navarro Kenny needs to get back, but he has to get healthy first. So hopefully he is able to do so as soon as possible. He was out at a con recently, so at least he's out and about. That's good. James, as a go home show, now I'm thinking about it that way. We did set a lot of shit up, and maybe now I need to readjust my thinking as to how good the show was. It was good. I enjoyed a lot on it. With Kenny had diverticulitis, dude. That's why he's been out.
A very, very bad case of diverticulitis, like to the point that we could have lost Kenny.
Yeah, because he didn't know he had it, and they got it late, but they got it in time, but they got it later than usual. Not like Brock. Brock got it, and it was bad. But
apparently, Kenny's case is worse.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Kenny's case was worse than Brock's. Brock also won a fucking title with it. Or maybe he just won a fight, but even then,
crazy.
God, that man was a freak in a great way, and I mean a respectful way. I digress. But I think maybe that's why the wrestling was a little more dialed back, maybe than it usually is, and we did a lot more setup than everything. So, re-looking at it in that lens, good show. I'm still excited for Sunday. I have to remember this is on Sunday. Hopefully, my voice comes back by then in full. And Mox is back, so I'm happy. I'm pretty happy with this episode.
Yeah, no, I am too. I think it, like you said, it accomplished a lot. I can't even say I would have appreciated more wrestling because we did get, I think, a fair amount of wrestling. It was just more storyline heavy. But now all I think is I want Kenny Omega back.
Got distracted.
Thanks. Thanks, Navarro. But yeah, good showing. And
5 matches, by the way. 5.
Yeah. We did get a good amount of wrestling.
Yeah.
I am very excited for the pay-per-view. From just on paper, this looks like an incredible, incredible, incredible show. So God willing, it delivers. I think AEW needs it to deliver.
Yeah, I want to say they need momentum, but a good showing here proves that they can WWE had such a good WrestleMania weekend. They need to put on a good show to be like, everyone be like, okay, see, AEW still putting on good shit. Maybe WWE might be a little bit better right now, but they're still putting on good shit.
It's not even just about WrestleMania. It's just about, we got to get past the stink of the footage week.
Oh, yeah, honestly, I blocked that out at this point. But that's just me. I just genuinely do not care.
You know, and I don't blame you, but it gave the ammo to the people who are looking for ammo.
Yeah, and you put it very well last week, you and Dragoon. Like, the people who wanted to be on Punk side are still going to be on Punk side. People want to be on AEW side are still going to be on AEW side. And putting that footage out did nothing except maybe give Jack Perry a little bit of momentum. That's about it.
I am more excited about his return than MJF's. Sorry, Navarro, but
it's definitely going to be interesting. But all right. On that note, I would like to thank everybody so much for watching us here at the Mark It Down podcast. If you like what you saw tonight, thanks, because I'm not doing great. I'm struggling. I don't know. James is coming off struggling. So we pushed through for you guys. So hopefully you can throw us a like, maybe even subscribe if you want to see some more stuff. We have Gym Pack Zone tomorrow night. Maybe. Yes, we do. If you're a TNA fan, we're starting to get a little bit more into SmackDown on Fridays. So if you want to check us out for that, you can. We're doing more Monday Night Raws because, well, like I said before,
no, we're not. We're doing less WWE Raws.
No. So here's the thing: Danny says he's going to do Raw and then doesn't do Raw. So we want to, but as a channel, but it kind of depends on Danny. That's his show. He claimed it, and then Danny does what Danny wants. But
take over Raw.
Well, there's no Monday Night Football. I'm only good till like September, and then I'm out.
Do it until then. Do it until then.
Well, let me get my voice back, and we'll see. But we are back here on Wednesdays every week for Dynamite. We will also obviously be covering Dynasty this weekend on Sunday. So, like I said, if you subscribe, you'll be able to see us here and chop it up with us for that.
My goal is also, sorry to interrupt, my goal is also to cover the TNA pay-per-view this Friday. I'm not 100% sure I'm going to be able to, because I don't know if I'll be around to cover it, but I'm going to make it a strong goal to get that done. You might just have a very different background than you're used to here.
Bonus Gym Packed.
Bonus Gym Packed.
Possibly.
Gym Packed Plus.
Also, if you would like to chop it up with us on social media, please do so. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. If you're on YouTube, all those things are in the description below. If you're not, you can follow us on Twitter at @markitdown_pod. Instagram is at @markitdownpod. If you are listening to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, where you can hear us on our audio platforms, and you would like to follow us on YouTube, youtube.com/markitdown3665. I think that covers everything. Facebook, you can just search us. It's pretty easy. I don't know where our TikTok is. That's producer boy's thing, and he's gone. I am not one of the Utes. James, you got anything else before we go?
I am so tired, but I love you all.
We did the giveaways?
No, we didn't do the giveaways. We're trying to figure that out. We might redo it just because on our end, guys, and I do apologize. We didn't handle it. We were so overwhelmed with WrestleMania madness that we didn't properly set up the giveaways. So we might wait for a bigger opportunity to do it, because these are nice prizes. We want you guys to enjoy them.
All right. So we'll tease the prizes. They are coming.
Yeah.
So keep an eye out. If you like, follow, subscribe, go on our socials and follow, and shoot us a DM, be like, hey, I followed after you guys see the prizes. We'll try to accommodate you guys, or just unfollow and refollow really quick. It'll work too. And this way you can remember when it comes around. All right, but for James Shasanti, Matt Gascon, who left, and producer boy, my name is Nick Cummings. Thank you so much for watching us here on the Mark It Down podcast. I'm going to have to go rest my voice all the way until Sunday. So good night, everybody.